Dr. John Campbell has just released groundbreaking research on the Shroud of Turin. His latest discovery reveals new evidence about where it may have come from and provides fresh analysis of its mysterious image.
It's almost like that this is a message for later times, that while the shroud could be appreciated in earlier centuries, no one knew it was a photographic negative until photography was invented. No one knew it had three-dimensional information until the people started wanting to interpret the topography of distant planets, and so many other things that science is revealing.
Dr. Campbell's shocking discovery could confirm or challenge the Shroud of Turin's divine origin. Before we dive in, hit subscribe to help us. Thanks, and let's get into it.
The Shroud of Turin, an enigmatic piece of linen cloth, has intrigued humanity for centuries. This sacred relic, which many believe to be the burial cloth of Jesus Christ, bears an image of a man who appears to have suffered the brutal trauma described in the Gospels: scourging, crucifixion, a crown of thorns, and a spear wound to the side. The cloth itself, measuring approximately 14 feet long and 3.5 feet wide, is a simple, undyed linen fabric, yet it carries one of the most mysterious images in the history of Christianity. The shroud's image is unlike anything that can be easily explained by art, science, or religion, prompting endless debates about its authenticity and meaning. One of the first aspects of the shroud that has perplexed researchers is the nature of the image. It is not a painting, a drawing, or any form of artistic technique that can be easily replicated. Instead, it appears to be a negative image, an image that resembles a photographic negative, something that was not even invented until the late 19th century. This alone has sparked an incredible amount of interest, particularly when one considers that the shroud dates back to the 1st century, or at least, according to some theories, to the medieval period. The image is formed by what seems to be a series of tiny, superficial chemical changes in the fibers of the linen. This phenomenon has baffled scientists and historians alike, because it does not conform to any known technique of image production. How could such an image have been created in a way that mimics modern photographic processes centuries before photography even existed? The shroud's journey through history is a mystery in itself. The earliest confirmed appearance of the shroud in historical records dates back to 1355, when it was publicly displayed in France by the de Charny family, the prominent noble family that owned the relic at the time. However, there are theories suggesting that the shroud may have been in existence long before this. Some suggest that the shroud was brought to Europe by the Crusaders, and there are others who point to the possibility that it was hidden for centuries, only emerging in the 14th century. The lack of clear documentation before this time leads to speculation about the shroud's origins. Some even suggest that it could have been part of the early Christian tradition, hidden away during times of persecution, only to resurface centuries later. The exact path it took from its creation to its eventual public display in France remains a subject of ongoing investigation and debate. The shroud's connection to Jesus Christ is deeply rooted in Christian tradition. For believers, the idea that this cloth could be the actual burial shroud of Jesus adds a layer of divine mystery. The image imprinted on the cloth is thought to be the result of the physical suffering and death of Jesus, as described in the Gospels of the New Testament. The wounds visible on the shroud align with the detailed accounts of Jesus' crucifixion: the scourging, the crown of thorns, the nail wounds in the wrists and feet, and the spear wound in the side. The image on the shroud, though faint and delicate, suggests that it was created by the body of a man who had endured immense physical trauma. The positioning of the body, with bloodstains visible in areas consistent with crucifixion wounds, further supports the claim that this could indeed be the burial cloth of Christ. For many, the shroud serves as a powerful symbol of the Passion of Christ, bringing to life the sacrifice made by Jesus for humanity's salvation. However, the shroud is not without its controversies, particularly regarding its authenticity. In 1988, the shroud underwent a series of radiocarbon dating tests conducted by laboratories in Oxford, Arizona, and Zurich. The results indicated that the cloth originated sometime between 1260 and 1390 AD, placing its creation in the medieval period, centuries after the death of Jesus. The These results were a blow to those who believed the shroud to be authentic. How could it be the burial cloth of Christ if it was not even made until more than 1,000 years after the events described in the Gospels? Despite the 1988 radiocarbon dating results, many researchers have questioned the accuracy of these findings. The sample of the shroud that was tested was taken from a small corner, which some believe may have been subject to contamination. The shroud itself has undergone centuries of exposure to environmental factors, including a fire in 1532 that severely damaged the cloth. Some argue that the sample used for the carbon dating was from a section that had been repaired during the medieval period, which could have led to the skewed results. There are also theories suggesting that the radiocarbon dating was affected by the presence of oils, contaminants from human touch, or even bacterial growth over the centuries. Because of these inconsistencies, many remain unconvinced by the 1988 results, and calls for further testing continue to arise. In addition to the radiocarbon dating controversy, the shroud has been subject to numerous scientific investigations. The Shroud of Turin research project, STURP, which took place in 1978, was a key moment in the scientific study of the shroud. Over the course of several days, a team of scientists from various fields, chemists, physicists, medical experts, and forensic scientists, conducted a range of tests on the shroud. One of the most remarkable findings from the STURP team was that the image on the shroud was not the result of any pigment or paint. Instead, it seemed to be the result of a chemical reaction that affected the linen fibers. The image was found to be superficial, with the fibers themselves being altered in a way that could not be easily replicated by known techniques of the time. The shroud's image appeared to be formed by a type of radiation or energy that somehow imprinted the figure onto the cloth. One of the most striking aspects of the image is the presence of three-dimensional information within the depiction of the body. The image on the shroud exhibits depth, such that the proportions of the body are consistent with the dimensions of a real human figure. When scientists used a special 3D imaging technique to study the shroud, they discovered that the image was not flat. It had depth, which further supports the theory that the image was not painted or applied manually. Some theorists propose that the image was formed by a burst of radiation that emanated from the body of the man wrapped in the cloth. This theory suggests that the body's energy at the moment of resurrection, or some other supernatural event, could have caused the image to be imprinted onto the linen. Another key area of scientific inquiry has focused on the bloodstains found on the shroud. Blood analysis revealed that the stains were human blood, and further testing indicated that the blood type was AB, a relatively rare blood type more commonly found in people of Middle Eastern descent. This finding matches the profile of a man who lived in the region during the time of Jesus, further suggesting the authenticity of the shroud. The patterns of the bloodstains also correlate with the injuries described in the Gospels. For example, the blood from the wounds in the wrists and feet appears to have dripped in a manner consistent with a man being crucified. Despite the compelling evidence gathered by scientists and researchers, the shroud's authenticity is far from certain. Many still see the shroud as an elaborate medieval forgery created to deceive the faithful. Critics point to the lack of conclusive evidence regarding its origins, and some claim that the image on the shroud could have been created using techniques available to medieval artists. Some even argue that the shroud is an example of a powerful medieval relic that became the focus of religious devotion and myth. The theological implications of the shroud are profound. For many Christians, the shroud represents a tangible connection to the suffering and death of Jesus Christ. It serves as a reminder of the immense sacrifice made on the cross and invites reflection on the meaning of Jesus' death and resurrection. The image on the shroud becomes not just a representation of Christ's physical suffering, but a symbol of the divine mystery of the Incarnation. The shroud is seen by some as evidence of Christ's presence in the world, a physical manifestation of his divinity. For others, the shroud remains a mystery, an artifact that straddles the line between the miraculous and the unexplained. Some view it as a symbol of faith, regardless of its authenticity, while others believe it might hold the key to understanding divine intervention in human history. The fact that the shroud has withstood centuries of scrutiny, testing, and public fascination speaks to its powerful impact on the human imagination and the ongoing search for meaning. In conclusion, the Shroud of Turin is much more than a relic. It is a symbol that invites exploration of the intersection between science, religion, and history. Its image has sparked wonder, doubt, and awe in all who encounter it. While its authenticity remains a subject of debate, the Shroud's presence continues to challenge our understanding of the past, our beliefs about the divine, and our desire to connect with the mysteries of the human experience. Whether it is a medieval creation, a miraculous imprint, or a powerful symbol, the Shroud remains one of the most profound and enigmatic objects in the world.